This is home, surely, as my senses tell me. This is where I won't be alone. For this is where I know I'm home.
哇，朋友你好，又欢迎您来到了封面人物的时间了，我是美香。今天呢，我们非常高兴，你可以看得到我们在摩天轮上访问一位新加坡最重要的人物。他为什么重要呢？我想告诉各位，世界上有很多巨星，但是很少人将会永远被记住。他就是其中一位，他的名字叫做 Dick Lee 李迪文先生。你好
Hello, how are you?
我听说你大概30岁到日本去，那个时候你讲了一句话，你说你要找你的梦，你找到你的梦想了吗？
You know, the strange thing is that it wasn't really my dream.
Oh.
Because, of course, I had this dream as a teenager when I was maybe 16 to 20 years old. I wanted to, be a musician. But at that time in Singapore, in the mid-70s, it was impossible. There's no future, there's no hope, no chance. When I took part in the Talent Time, it resulted in me getting my first album deal, and that gave me some hope. But because the situation in Singapore is so difficult for music, and I realized that if you want to be a musician in Singapore, you have to play in a bar or a lounge, and you got to play people's requests. And I said, this is not how I want to be a musician this way. So I gave up the dream, you see. And I just continued to do my own work, which is like I did events. I was one of the first fashion show production company in Singapore. And then when I finished my studies, I studied fashion design. I came back, I continued to work in fashion and events. Part-time, then I did music. As long as I do a little bit of music, I'm happy. That's enough for my dream. But suddenly, in 1989 when I did the Mad Chinaman album.
Yes.
And that
one
changed,
is a top seller.
So suddenly it became a top seller after, and that was my 8th album. So I had the opportunity to change my life. And I was already 32 or 33
But you look
years
so young.
But it's too old to be a musician for
yeah.
first time, you see. So I was thinking very hard. When I got the offer to go to Japan, I almost didn't take it. I almost rejected because I thought now I have my business, I have my business is successful, I have my life, and it's going well, and then now suddenly should I give it up for something I don't know? And when I tell people I'm going to Japan to be a singer at 33 years old, and everyone laughs at me and they say, are you mad? So it was a difficult decision.
Yeah.
But my business partners told me, I think this is your one last chance to try. So why don't you try? And we will be here to look after the business. If you want, you can come back. So that was very kind of them. So I said, okay, I try. I never imagined that I would be this kind of artist. Never. So it was a kind of new dream for me. But I think the dream that matters the most is that I can make music as my life,
Yeah. If you see through the history, that decision, do you think it's the right decision for your whole life?
Yes.
You go to Japan.
Absolutely. I waited many years to have this chance. And I'm so glad I took it. Because it takes a lot of courage to make this kind of big change in your life.
Yeah. I know you wrote a lot of pop song or musician music for the Zhang Guorong or any other superstar. Lin Yilian. But you don't know anything about Chinese, right?
No.
So when you write that song, the English and Chinese song is quite different.
Yes, of course.
How do you get that feeling?
Okay, there's 2 parts to this answer.
Yes.
First is that when I was a child, I grew up listening to a lot of Chinese pop music from my mother. My father used to play a lot of jazz music. My
yeah.
mother listened to, you know, all the Poon Sao King, Poon Tek Wah, those
Okay.
kind of Hong Kong songbirds of the 60s.
Yeah, I know that.
So I listened to that a lot, and that was my only connection with Chinese culture, that kind of pop music, and I loved it. And so when the time came for me to work in the Chinese language, it was Hong Kong that I first worked. In the 90s, Hong Kong was Hollywood.
Yes, yes.
All the
definitely.
singers, all the beautiful, glamorous actors and singers,
Everything
all
is
from
there.
Hong Kong. Yeah.
Yes.
And so my chance came there with Lamit, Sandy Lam. And so by the time I worked with her, I had spent a long time in my music career looking for my soul, my identity, and my spirit. Because I only work in English.
Yes.
And therefore I only make music in English. I do Western pop music, but then I'm not Western. So my whole life I was searching for this Asian spirit to put in the Western music.
Yeah.
I think I found some answer, which is the Chinese soul, the Chinese smell. You know, it's the scent, it's just something in the air that passes. It's not very obvious. A feeling that's very Chinese, and so perfect. Her voice was like that. Her voice is like a breeze. It's like a scent, you know?
Yes.
It's very light and it's very oriental. And so I thought that she was a perfect artist for me. And so when I wrote for her, it was this modern Western pop with a Chinese spirit. That's how it grew for me in the Chinese music industry.
Do you know, every National Day, we will sing the song, we call it Home.
Yes.
It's made by you.
Yeah,
Can you
I'm
tell
very
me the
proud.
background of this song?
Well, this song, it came about because in the 90s, the Singapore government had this campaign called Sing Singapore. Every year around National Day, they encourage composers to write songs about Singapore, to collect songs, because we don't have anything.
Yeah.
Because if we say ethnic folk songs, the Chinese folk song is from China.
Yeah.
Right? Malay folk songs from Malaysia. So we wanted to create our own. So they had this campaign. So that year, 1997, they invited me to submit a song. And I was living in Hong Kong.
Oh, that time.
Yeah, and I was very homesick.
I,
Yeah, I was thinking, oh, I miss Singapore, because in 1997 I was away for 7 years already in Japan. I just moved to Hong Kong. And then I wrote this song about how I feel about Singapore. So it's really a song about the heart. And I just wanted to do a nice, beautiful pop song. And they chose it. And coincidentally, the National Day Parade also chose it as the theme song. And then that's how we got Kip Chan to sing it. And it became like the first National Day song that was commissioned especially for a National Day Parade.
我的欢喜悲伤，只要点燃希望，梦就会自由飞翔。
The last question I want to ask you, and when everybody think you have a very wonderful life, do you have any very hurt story in your life?
Everybody has got some kind of pain. I would say the most terrible was when my sister passed away suddenly.
How old is that?
She was 24 years old, and it was a car accident. So it's sudden, you know. And she was full of life, just came back from her studies, ready to start her life, and then she was killed. And that was a terrible thing. Of course, sudden death like this to someone you love, it makes you see your life very differently. And it just made me more determined to live for her, you know, to do as much as I can. And I think that's one of the things that drives me, drives my passion.
Okay.
To keep trying new things and treat every day as a new day. because it can be your last, you know. So that's one thing. Then of course, in my professional life, there have been many artificial world
Okay.
for celebrities and fame. You know, fame is something that is so meaningless, and it's so manufactured, because it doesn't have anything to do with who you are inside. But
Yes.
you tend to believe in it. You tend to see that is everything. And when you believe in it too much, and when sometimes it shows that it's not real, it can be very terrible for you.
Yes,
You can,
yes.
it can change you. I always see I see Dick Lee is not me. It's a brand.
Okay.
It's a brand, and this brand, and because I see it as a brand, that's why I can do this so many
Yes,
things,
yes,
because
yes.
it's a brand that I can use. I can open a restaurant. I can
And
design
what is the
jewelry.
real Dick Lee?
It's a guy who just sits on the piano and writes songs. That's really what I am from young, from 8 years old. That is the only thing that matters, and I keep telling myself, remind myself, just don't forget that.
各位观众朋友，非常非常高兴，今天能够在这个摩天轮让你看到 Dick Lee 的美丽，因为他真的是一个非常非常有天分的艺术工作者。我今天很高兴可以访问他，是我很享受他所说的每一句话。那么我希望接下来看到他更多的好的作品，无论是音乐的舞台剧，或者是电影，或者是他自己能够再出唱片。好了，我们要跟你说再见了，我们下期同一时间，拜拜，再见 ，Thank you。